Welcome to class. For today's agenda, you will learn to identify the characteristics of mollusks, describe gastropods, bivalves, and cephalopods, and explain the environmental importance of mollusks. Mollusks are soft-bodied invertebrates with bilateral symmetry, and usually one or two shells. Their organs are in a fluid-filled cavity. Kahit na maraming uri ng mollusks, may mga pagkakataon pa rin na kung saan may pagkakatulad sila. Kagaya na lamang na soft yung katawan nila. Yung iba sa kanila ay may shell to protect their body, yung iba naman ay walang. Look at these examples. Snails, clams, and squid are some examples of mollusks. So, where do mollusks comes from? It comes from the Latin word molluscus from mollis, which means soft. That is the reason why mollusks have soft bodies, which makes them easy prey for other animals. However, to protect themselves, they build a hard shell around their bodies. How about their habitat? Where do they live? Most of them live in the sea. However, some live in fresh water, like shallow water along the coast. Kapag nagbubungkal tayo ng buhangin sa beach, ay marami tayong makikita at mahahanap na mollusks. They are abundant and very delicious. Many mollusks like the clam dig into sandy or muddy bottoms, while others prefer deep water like squids, and some attach themselves into rocks like mussels, and some snails and slugs live in land, since they prefer cold, moist places and can be also found in cold regions or dry districts. What are their physical features? Mollusks vary a lot in their features. Even mollusks in the same type can be very different, like the squid. Some are very small and some can be very monstrous in size. Basically, they are invertebrates that belong to phylum Mollusca, which means that they don't have backbones. They have soft and segmented bodies that hold the heart, liver, digestive system, and other important organs. Without the spine, it's easy to see why mollusks have soft bodies. Their bodies are made up of three main parts, including a muscular foot, visceral mass, and a mantle. Let us proceed to the body plan of the mollusk, which will be shown by this. The foot is an appendage that some mollusks use for movement and others use for burrowing. As you can see, snails looks like they doesn't have a foot, but they have a strong muscular foot, and they use mucus to enable to crawl over rough surfaces and to keep their soft bodies from drying out. The visceral mass is the inner part of the mollusk that contains their vital organs. It includes the stomach, the heart, the nephridia, and the gonads. Their shell is made up of several layers. The inside layer is the smoothest. It is usually the thickest layer because it is added throughout the life of the mollusk. The inside layer also protects their soft body. So here's a little fun fact about mollusks. It is the second largest phylum of invertebrates. Some have shells, but others do not. Some can live in the water, yet others are terrestrial. Mollusks with shells can produce pearls. Some mollusk shells were used as currency. Some mollusks sting or bite. Mollusks have a mantle.
Good day everyone, I am Princess Umakalap and I will discuss the classifications of mollusks. Most mollusks, merong silang hard shells para maprotektahan yung kanilang body, and other mollusks, wala silang shells. So the first things, scientists look at when they classify the mollusks is whether or not animals has a shell. So mollusks that have a shells are then classified by the kind of shells or the kind of food that they have. There are three classifications of mollusks. First, the gastropods. The gastropods is the largest group of mollusks. Gastropods are snails and slug. They use their food to crawl and wala silang sense of hearing, but meron silang sense of sight and sense of smell. This class comprises snails and slug from saltwater, from freshwater, and from the land. Gastropods have a single shell, and many have a pair of tentacles with the eyes at the tips. But itong slug ay walang siyang shells, but meron siyang but they protected by a layer of mucus, and para sila ng characteristic of move ng snails, kaya kabilang siya sa gastropods. Also, the gastropods use radula, which is radula is a rough of tongue with a lots of tiny teeth to obtain food. To sum up, gastropods includes the groups of pertaining to the snails and slugs, which mean the word gastro meaning stomach, the word pod meaning food. So, ibig sabihin ng gastropods is stomach food. And the second classification of mollusks is bivalves, meaning bivalves, they have two parts of their shells which can open and close. Also, they have gills to help them breathe underwater and capture food as well. For example of bivalves is clams, oysters, and scallops.
Good day everyone, I am Donalyn E. Delgado and I am here to present to all of you some additional information about the bivalves. So the first one is, bivalves are all filter feeders. Kumbaga, naiiba sila sa ibang mga mollusks, and that's why wala din silang radula or sharp little tongue. Filter feeders, nagtitake in sila ng water, kung saan yung water na yun is dumadaan dito sa incurrent siphon. Then, magpapass through sa gills, kung saan dun mangyayari yung absorption ng mga tiny food particles mula dun sa water na tinik-in ng isang bivalves. Then, pagkatapos nun, magpupunta din yung water na yon sa digestive system ng bivalves, tsaka palang lalabas through the excurrent siphon. So, the next one is about the adductor muscles. So, bivalves have two adductor muscles, the anterior and the posterior adductor muscles. Itong mga adductor muscles na to is sila yung nag-hold together dun sa mga clams. Kumbaga, kung mapapansin nyo, kapag nakakita kayo o pag nakakuha kayo ng mga clams, is pag inopen nyo sila, mahirap silang magbuka. The reason behind that is the anterior adductor muscle and the posterior adductor muscle nila. Then, These muscles is din siya, parang nagpo-provide din siya or ginagamit din siya para sa protection ng mga bivalves or mga clams. So, the next one is kung saan sila kadalasan makikita. Mostly sa marine or yung few naman is sa freshwater. Then, they also have open circulatory system kung saan yung blood nila with food and oxygen is nag-flow in a series of closed blood vessels or nagpapump gamit ng isang heart lang. Katulad sa mga tao. Then, the next one is they grow with their shell. Yan, makikita natin dyan yung mga patterns na yan is ayan yung kumbaga is ayun yung patterns of growth. Ano siya? Mga calcium carbonate siya na nirelease ng mantle. Then the next one is fertilization, usually external. It just mean na yung mga sperm and egg cells na nire-release or nanggagaling sa mga bivalves is nire-release lang nila sa water column. So, the next one is about the bioaccumulation. So, sinasabi kasi nila na yung bivalves daw is nakakatulong sa to keep the water clean. Halimbawa na lang is yung average adult oyster here is nakakapag-filter ng 25 gallons or 95 liters of water per day. Dahil nga, and yung mga nafi-filter kasi na water ng mga bivalves is may naiiwan sa kanilang mga toxin or toxic chemicals which is napupunta na lang sa body nila. And ayun yung tinatawag na bioaccumulation. Although it doesn't hurt bivalves, pero kasi kapag nakapag-consume ka ng or nakakain ka ng certain bivalves na nakapag-filter ng maraming toxic substances, it could cause harm to your health. And another additional info, only scallops are capable to swim. Although yung ibang mga bivalves is may foot sila, ang nagagawa lang kasi na is nagbaburrow sila sa sand, then tsaka lang sila nag-move sa place from one place to another. But yung scallops kasi is nakaka-swim sila or nakakalangoy sila sa dagat or sa water sa pamamagitan ng kanilang mga clams. So, yung mga clams sila is nag-open and close para makamove sila from one place to another. And now, let us proceed to the cephalopods, which is the most specialized and complex mollusks. So, cephalopoda means the head and foot, which is sinabing the head and foot kasi nga yung completely attachment ng isang ulo ng isang cephalopod doon sa kanilang mga arms or tinatawag na din na foot. So for their structures, makikita natin dito na they have pair of large eyes. Kung makikita kayo ng octopus kahit sa mga pictures lang, is makikita nyo na meron sila, octopus or squid, mayroon silang mga mata na malalaki talaga. Kadalasan is nakukumpara din sa mata nating mga tao. And then, the mantle, which is, hindi siya yung pinaka-cover, pero masasabi na rin natin na nako-cover niya yung internal organs ng mga cephalopods. Then, the funnel, which is used for propulsion. Dito, ito yung parang water-filled cavity. Kung saan is nilalagyan or pinupunoy ng mga cephalopods yung water-filled cavity na yon ng water. Tapos, tsaka nila i-squirt yung water para makamove sila backward or makalayo dun sa mga ibang species na nasa dagat or kahit sa mga predators nila. Then, the ring of arms. So, ito yon, makikita natin yung mga ring of arms na yan, which is usually 8 arms yung mga meron ng cephalopods. Then, yung mouth nila is nasa pagitan ng mga arms nila. So, ito yon, yung close sight sa kanilang mouth. So, yung mouth kasi nila is like a sharp beak kung saan ginagamit nila to chop their prey into like tiny pieces. So, sinasabi rin na cephalopods are all predators, have well-developed nervous system, and a close circulatory system. Kung saan is-discuss ko na kanina when we were still at the topic regarding bivalves. So, for the next slide is ito, the examples of the cephalopods. So, I have here the octopus, squid, and the cuttlefish. So, first, let's proceed to the octopus. So, sinabi ko na kanina na kung makikita nyo yung mata ng octopus kahit sa mga image lang is meron silang mga large eyes na kadalasan nga is nakukumpara sa mata ng tao. And meron silang 8 arms. Tapos yung sa 8 arms nilang yun is may mga nakaline doon na mga hundreds of suckers. These suckers are moving independently and ina-allow nila yung octopus na mag-touch, smell, and manipulate objects. And then, yung octopus din is nakakapag-open sila ng clamshells. Ayan. Makikita niyo sa pictures na yan. Nabubuksan nila yung mga clamshells. And yung mga clamshells na yun is nagagamit nila para sa kanilang protection or para protektahan yung kanilang mga sarili. Then, dito naman sa 2 images na naandito sa kabila is makikita nyo na yung mga octopus is kasyang-kasya sila sa mga singit-singit or mga sulok sa ilalim ng dagat. Kasi nga is walang bones yung kanilang arms and body. Ayan. So, for the next example naman is about the squid. So, kagaya ng sa octopus, yung mga squid kasi is meron din siyang 8 arms but may 2 extra appendages which is called the tentacles. Yung tentacles na to is nag-aalaw sa squid na makuha or makapture niya yung mga prey niya kahit malayo sa kanila. Kasi yung tentacles na to is kaya nito mag-extract and mag-retract. So, the next example is the cuttlefish. Although may pangalan na fish dun sa cuttlefish is kino-consider daw sila na hindi fish. This cuttlefish, itong mga cuttlefish daw is nakokontrol nila yung kanilang buoyancy using their internal shell called the cuttle bone. Sa process na or sa pag-a-add ng different amount ng liquid or gas dun sa mga tiny holes na naandun mismo sa structure ng cuttle bones. Then sa pag-add na yon ng mga different amount of liquid and gas is kaya niya nang kontrolin yung pag-float niya, may it be up or down sa ilalim ng dagat or sa ilalim ng tubig. So for the next slide is about the adaptation in order to survive. So sa pinakaunang slide ko, diba, ng tungkol sa cephalopods, sinabi nga nila na ito yung pinaka-complex classification ng mollusks. And sinasabi rin nila na yung mga cephalopods daw is yung the most intelligent invertebrates that living underwater. Habang pinag-aaral ako ng mga adaptation na to ng mga cephalopods is kahit ako hindi rin ako makapaniwala or namangha din ako kung paano nila ginagawa itong mga to. So, let's proceed first to the bioluminescence. Sa process na to kasi is nagla-light up yung isang cephalopods in a vibrant color. They flash, they glow, or blink, and sa pamagitan ng mga yon is inaalaw or naaalaw yung isang cephalopod para makapag-communicate, makapaghanap ng partners nila, or to distract their predators, or kumbaga kahit yung mga preys nila. And I have here an example. Here, the firefly squid, which is, meron siyang, nagko-contain siya ng chemical which is called the lucifern. So, and this chemical lights up when it comes into contact with the oxygen. And kapag nga nagka-contact yung lucifern or yung chemical na yun sa oxygen is nag-exhibit yung firefly ng counter-illumination. Kung saan nagpo-produce siya ng light na yung brightness is nagmamatch dun sa surroundings niya. That makes them invisible to their predators. The next adaptation is the ability to quickly change their screen color. So, nasa baba nito is the chromatophores. Yung chromatophores kasi is yung thousands of pigments na nasa thousands of pigment filled cells na nasa o nako-cover o yung kumo-cover doon sa entire body ng isang cephalopods na may kakayahan mag-quickly change ng skin color. And I have here some images examples. Within each chromatophores kasi is muscles, there are muscles and nerves that controls elastic pigment filled sacs kung saan kapag nag-contract yung muscles, yung sacs is mag-expand siya and mari-reveal yung mga vibrant pigments. Yan. For example na yan is yung color ng octopus na to is halos nagiging kakulay niya na yung surface na kinilalagyan niya. And kapag naman nag-relax yung muscle is nag-shrink din yung mga sacs and once more nako-conceal na yung mga pigments. They do this for their protection and kung meron man sila makitang prey nila is pwede nilang malapitan yung prey nilang yon and ma-deceive tsaka nila i-capture. Katulad din ng counter-illumination is it is used as an advanced form of camouflage. And for the last and but not the least adaptation is the mimicry or to imitate or other animals. Example nito is the mimic octopus. Sinasabi niya itong mimic octopus is kaya niya i-disguise yung sarili niya up to 15 different animals. Halimbawa na rin yung ang mga ginagaya niya is yung mga lionfish, yan, deadly snake, and itong poisonous flatfish. Itong mimic octopus, kapag nag-swim na siya along the seafloor is na-adapt niya yung position ng flatfish. Then, nai-imitate niya na yung both appearance and yung behavior nito. Ito, halimbawa ito. Ito yung mimic octopus and ito yung flatfish. Kung makikita nyo is halos magkatulad na talaga sila ng appearance and yung paraan ng pag-swim ng flatfish is halos kayang-kaya niya na rin. Kung saan is malapit yung pag-swim doon sa seafloor. So, ayan. So, all in all, masasabi talaga natin na truly remarkable yung mga cephalopods. From their structures pa lang, 'di ba? Kung paano nila nagamit yung mga structures nila para makapag-adapt sa environment nila sa ilalim ng dagat, sa pag-camouflage, sa pagla-light up, or sa pagkaya ng ibang mga animals is kakaiba talaga or hindi mapapantayan. And sinasabi nga nila na yung abundance nila and the diversity is owed itself to their intelligence. And That is all. Thank you for
Morning, I am
watching.
Daniela Elim, and I will be reporting about the value of mollusks. So we all know that mollusks have many uses. So as presented here in the PowerPoint, they serve as food, shelter, a source of living, and they are also capable of providing information about the state of the ecosystem. So let's talk about mollusk as food. So mollusks can be consumed by fishes like the black carp, by sea stars, birds, and even us, humans. So, next is mollusk as shelter. So, mollusk also serves as shelter for invertebrate animals like the hermit crab. Also, mollusks can serve as a source of living to humans as they can be sold in the market. Mollusks are sold for consumption. As mentioned earlier, they can be eaten by humans. Also, the shells of mollusks can be used for creating jewelry and decorations. There are also species of mollusks that produce pearls, such as the pearl oysters. Another benefit that we can get from mollusks are their capacity to provide information about the ecosystem. Their shells provide information about the condition of the ecosystem. Those information includes the distribution of water pollutants. The shells of the mollusk help to understand past marine life and ways recent changes in the marine ecosystem. So, even though mollusks are beneficial in so many ways, they can also cause problems such as damage to plants and they can also cause infection. So, the land slugs and snails damage plants as they feed into them. They damage the plant seeds, leaves, and even the fruits that will result to the death of the plant. There are also species of snails that serves as a host to other parasites that can infect humans. Also, the clams, oysters, and other mollusks are filter feeders. The viruses, toxic, proteins, and bacteria from the water can be trapped in them and can cause infection, sickness, and or even death when consumed by humans or animals. So that covers off the value of mollusks. Thank you.